The 2019 NFL Draft is finally in the books after what has been a roller coaster weekend. Philadelphia Eagles come away with 5 selections, and after finally being able to get some sleep and look back at the picks now retrospectively, it's time to put some initial grades on them. I want to make this clear that I do find grading drafts within the next 48 hours a little bit silly, because it's impossible to quantify what a prospect's career is going to look like, especially before he's even put on the uniform. But I do think there's value in looking at how the Eagles approach this draft, what needs they have and haven't filled, and why that is. So without further ado, we're going to get into this. Before we do though, guys, just a couple of things. Firstly, if you have enjoyed this year's draft content, please leave a like and hit subscribe if you haven't already. It's been amazing bringing this all out for you. It's my first year doing this full time now. I think I worked out since Thursday night there's been like 11 articles and 6 videos, which is a lot, and I was up till 6 AM throughout the course. So just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I've been grinding this out. I hope you've enjoyed it. Secondly, I wanted to mention as well that we did actually lose one of our writers at Philly Sports Network this past weekend. So Matthew Martin lost his battle with leukemia. He covered the Philadelphia Flyers for our website, and someone that means a great deal to all of us here at Philly Sports Network. So if you could just keep his family and friends in your thoughts, that would be amazing. We're going to have like a little tribute video and an article come out very shortly about him. But it's been a tough weekend for all of us here at Philly Sports Network, but we just wanted to say thank you for anyone that has reached out to kind of send their condolences. It does mean a lot. And we're all, and his family are all very, very appreciative of that. With their first round selection, the Eagles actually traded up to secure the services of Washington State's Andre Dillon. Now, initially, I was hoping this pick would be a safety or a defensive tackle. That was my aim, but I put a video out on this channel, of course, a couple of weeks ago saying that if the team trade up, I feel like Dillon would be the trade target. I just didn't think it was likely. Turns out it was. At 6'5", around 315 pounds, Dillon has played the most pass blocking snaps of any tackle in this year's draft class, any tackle at the FBS level, and any tackle at the NFL level last year, and he gave up 1 sack. He's by far the best pass protecting tackle in this year's class, and the drop off from round 1 talent downwards is quite steep. You get from fringe starter to developmental prospect exceedingly quickly. If it's not Dillon, you're looking at Cajuste. And while that pick would certainly fill the need, I can totally understand where Roseman's coming from here. Jason Peters will be 38 years old at this time next year, and there's no guarantee that he's going to see even 50% of snaps if you look at his recent track record. We know he's a future Hall of Famer. We know the level of play that he brings to the table, but it's just that durability issues. He's now had 2 back-to-back seasons that have been hampered with injuries, and while Halapoulivaati Vaitai is certainly serviceable as a backup, it's his contract year, and the team don't know what they have in Jordan Mailata. He's not going to suddenly waltz onto the scene and start next year, so they need to find that in between. And if Vaitai is a serviceable backup for 1 more year, absolutely fine. It then gives them that natural pathway for Dillon to step into and become the heir to the throne at left tackle. This team is built from the trenches outward for the last 3 years now. I was told at the start of the Doug Peterson era by a source they will build from the ball out. That will be the mentality. They have not altered from that path ever since. And Dillon, for me, it gives you stability. Again, I mentioned this in a video recently. You look at 2022, you've got an offensive line of Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Isaac Seumalo, Matt Pryor, and now Andre Dillon. Not many offensive lines in the league can have that level of star power that deep into the next 5-year forecast. So to me, I love the pick. It wasn't a pick I would have made personally, but I totally understand the reasoning. I want to grade this pick a B+, because it doesn't feel an immediate need that we could have seen at safety or some of the other positions, but I do feel that long term this could be a monumental win for the Eagles. Dillon is very athletic, has quick feet. We'll see plenty more of that in the film room later on. Start with the 53rd pick in the draft. The Philadelphia Eagles selected Penn State running back Myles Sanders, and this one, it irked me a bit because it's sort of been the worst kept secret in the NFL this offseason that the Eagles are absolutely in love with the Penn State rusher, and I get it. I understand why. He very much reminds you of a LaShawn McCoy. He's got that burst about him. He can explode out of his cuts. He's very handy at making those backside twitches. My concerns are 1, ball security. That has always been an issue. 2, when he's in the open field, does he have enough to make one-on-one matchups miss at the next level? I think his burst certainly helps, but is that going to be enough to carry him through those head-to-head matchups? But this is a guy that had 1,274 yards on 220 attempts in 2018, and after waiting so long, basking in the limelight that Saquon Barkley left behind, he finally got his chance, and he made the most of it. On 220 attempts, he proved to be more than useful in the passing game, more than electric in the run game. The only issues are ball security, those one-on-one matchups, and pass protection. Where he seems to have the willing attitude, he wants to get his nose in there, that can be coached up. And I guess that's the other side of it. Like, why? Sure, I would have loved Terrell Henderson with this pick. That was my draft crush. I was absolutely sold on the idea of Terrell Henderson at 53. Put it this way, if 2 years from now, Myles Sanders doesn't fumble anywhere near as much, his pass protection improves, and he actually becomes a little bit more elusive in the open field and can change his direction a little bit more fluently, then I think that's a better pick. Out of the gate, Terrell Henderson gives you a little more bang for your buck, but obviously with Jordan Howard only here for 1 year, I feel like Myles Sanders has the ability to step up and be what LaShawn McCoy was, and that's probably what the Eagles are looking for. So while again, it may not be that day one hit, you may see him be a rotational piece moving forward, the Eagles have effectively lost Darren Sproles. They're replacing Wendell Smallwood, so some of those same concerns with Wendell Smallwood are present in the game of a man that doesn't have much tread on the tire at all, but the ceiling is so much higher. So I like the pick. It'll be very interesting to see how he develops from now until week 1, and then week 1 until week 1 of 2020. So for now, I'm going to grade this pick a solid B. So it's not the B plus that we were grading Andre Dillon. Round 2, pick 57, my favourite pick that the Eagles have made in this year's draft, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. We're going to have a poll on the podcast for what is the best nickname for Arcega-Whiteside. Maybe we'll mention it in today's video of This Week in Philadelphia Sports as well. But Arcega-Whiteside is an absolute monster. He averaged 16.8 yards per reception last year, had 1,059 yards and caught 14 touchdowns. At 6'2", 226 pounds, he certainly resembles Alshon Jeffrey, and that's bizarrely one of the players he looked up to. You can tell he's got a basketballing background, the way he boxes out defenders, and if you think of a red zone matchup now, you've got Alshon Jeffrey, Zaka as Dallas Goedert, and Arcega-Whiteside, and Jordan Howard. I don't know where you're going to put a focus on defense. That is going to be a nightmare for anyone involved. 4.49 40-yard dash was certainly respectable, and I feel like Arcega-Whiteside, although he doesn't fill that niche in the slot, just gives you more. Deshaun Jackson won't be around forever. Alshon Jeffrey's getting a little bit older. We don't know what the long-term future right here is. Arcega-Whiteside could be maybe a future wide receiver 1. He could dominate down in the slot as Matt Collins did in his rookie year, or maybe, just maybe, he can just be that rotational red zone threat in year 1 and see what happens after that. We're forgetting that Matt Collins and Shelton Gibson do exist, and maybe they could even play a role moving forward. But as for Arcega-Whiteside, his role in this offense is whatever Peterson dreams it up to be. And when you've got two sizable wide receivers who are 50-50 jump ball specialists, and Wentz loves putting that confidence in his wide out, chemistry between Sager, okay, we've gone with Sager, and Zach Ertz as well, you can see it there already. I genuinely think this is a fantastic pick. I'm going to give this one an A-, purely because I didn't think Arcega-Whiteside would be on the board by the time this pick was made. He gives them plenty of optionality. It adds so much height. You don't need blazing speed to take the top off a defense, especially when you can box out defenders in the way Arcega-Whiteside does. So for me, I love the pick. With their 4th round pick, the Eagles selected another Penn State player in Shareef Miller, a defensive end. Now, this guy had 15 tackles for a loss and 7.5 sacks during 2018, and I think this could be another rotational pick, liken it to Josh Sweat in terms of value and what the team's seeing it. Miller is an explosive and penetrative force coming off the edge. He can get into the backfield with ease. My concerns are that unlike some of the higher rated defensive ends, he doesn't have pass rushing moves, and sometimes he can get caught a little bit quick-footed. He doesn't have a counter or anything like that, and he has a tendency to burn out quite quickly. But given the amount of deep rotation this Eagles team have right now, I think Miller has got such a high upside to develop. At 6'5", 260, he's got the frame that Chris Wilson would covet at that position. He's got all of the athletic traits you could ever want, and he's so explosive after that first step that it's going to be a monster no matter what. It's just trying to chisel away at what could be a very much so diamond in the rough. Defensive end position needs to build from the bottom of the depth chart outward, and that's exactly what they're doing here with Shareef Miller. If you partner him with someone like Josh Sweat and Joe Ostman, 2 more guys the Eagles are high on, you're going to have a very strong rotation going into the back end of next season, and I feel like he could well be an underrated cog. Don't be surprised to see a rare sack just exploding off the edge late in a game from Shareef Miller. I'm going to rate this pick a B-. I don't hate it. I quite like it. I totally understand the motive. We thought they were going to add some defensive line depth. The question is, pick have been spent somewhere else, and that's why maybe it's not as high as some of the other ones in this year's draft. And finally, in round 5, they selected quarterback Clayton Thorson, and this for me was the one pick I really didn't agree with. Purely, they trade up in round 5. You assume it's going to be Easton Stick in the 7th round, or maybe, just maybe, in the 5th, and then out of nowhere, he goes to the Chargers, and the Eagles are left with a man who's thrown 27 interceptions in his last 27 games. 6'4", 222 pounds, and he came off a really bad knee injury to lead Northwestern back to a bowl game in 2018. I actually really like his play. I think that he can be a little bit inconsistent, especially when asked to throw downfield. He just sort of doesn't care and just slings it. The accuracy down deep is not what it could be, but he's got the arm strength there, and when he's scanning through those intermediate reads, he seems to be a lot better. Yes, he's lost some mobility. Yes, he threw a lot of interceptions. He only averaged 6.8 yards per attempt, but this is a developmental quarterback, and the Eagles have worked wonders with Nate Sudfeld. If you look at how he was when he first came from the Washington Redskins to where he is now, just look at the film room on this channel if you don't believe me, then look at what they want to do with Luis Perez. I can totally understand the pick. If they want to draft a quarterback every year, you've got to cite that within the next 2 to 3 years, Nate Sudfeld will either be on the team as that firm backup with a new contract or going elsewhere. Is he going to be the heir to QB2, or is he going to instead end up traded or somewhere like that? You just don't know. But for a 5th round pick, it gets the Eagles what they call a leader, someone that the team really rallied around, that's battled adversity, that showed up in every big game. He's got 3 bowl games to his name, so he's someone that can rally a team. The moment is never too big for Clayton Thorson, just sometimes his eyes are bigger than his belly, and that is what can hurt him on the field. But we'll get to that in a film room, of course. I'm gonna grade this a C, so I just would have personally thought that Brett Rippon or Easton Stick would have been the better fits here. Brett Rippon is a game manager, Easton Stick obviously with that tie to Carson Wentz, but I don't hate it. I understand the logic again. Overall draft grade then, I like it. I like the direction the team are going in. It's a little bit confusing that they didn't draft a safety or a linebacker, 2 massive needs that were highlighted by just about everyone ever. They didn't draft a cornerback though, so all of them all drafted one on that one. To put up an article, I feel like Avonte Maddox or Rasul Douglas could be moving full-time to safety, and that could have spurred that decision. And maybe, just maybe, there's going to be some more signings between now and week 1. There's a long way to go. A lot can change on this roster, and the Eagles certainly aren't oblivious. The signing of Sendejo certainly takes some pressure off of that immediacy to find the next heir to the throne, and maybe if Avonte Maddox is that guy, it gives them some flexibility to find out. Overall, of the players they drafted, there's only one I'm a little bit on, and that's Clayton Thorson. So given how that pattern usually goes, yes, I would have liked to see more players, but the players they did pick were accurate, they were dead on, they're great fits in this team, and I think a lot of them could be impacting during their rookie season. So I'm going to grade it a B-, but let me know your grades down in the comments below, guys. What did you make of this year's NFL draft? I would love to find out. From myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me at LiamJenkins21 at Philadelphia SN. I'll see you later on for This Week in Philadelphia Sports. Don't forget to subscribe.